Howdy! So before we get into too much detail on the instructional part, we're going to give you a quick example of some of the work that's been done here and what we're talking about. This is my old Remington 780L, and I severely abused this thing back in the day. And it came with the original walnut stock, and it had pressed checkering, which is kind of a fake checkering, right?
Right, it's actually a reverse image of the checkering. True checkering has very tiny diamonds that come to a point, little pyramids.
They're actually carved in.
And they're carved into the wood, right?
So they're not stamped in.
Right, they're not stamped in. And the point being is that with the little point sticking up, it gives you a gripping surface. Checkering was invented with a purpose. It gives you a gripping surface for your hand.
Right.
And it also helps reduce recoil because of that. Besides the gun entirely going back into your shoulder, your hands absorb some of it too. And also you can like to drop it. But they, for expediency's sake, the big gun manufacturers, they like the look of it because it became synonymous with a nice firearm. They found out here's a cheap way to do it. Once the stock is basically finished, they have a metal pattern with points on it that would just press in.
They stamp it in.
Stamp it into.
Yeah, mass produced.
So they're compressing the wood, little points into the wood. So it provides no gripping surface. The thing was already finished before they pressed it in, so it's smooth. And where there should be points to grip, there are no points. They go in. And besides that, it tends to crush the wood underneath it to a slight degree.
So yeah, we had this stock and it was severely abused. It had some kind of a lacquer spray-on finish as well, it looked like, right?
Right. Almost all of the gun manufacturers, for expediency, it's cheaper and faster. There's no patience in big production, you know. They use some type of a quick drying finish to spray on. There's lacquers, shellacs, whatever, I don't know what they all are, polyurethanes, some of them. But none of those stand up to the years and years that a good boiled linseed oil dried finish and multiple coats can give you. Another thing is, like I say, if they get a good scratch or scrape on this, you could sand it out till the wood is smooth again and simply apply the oil to one small spot, several coats, and you'll find it completely blends in and visible repair on those little finishes. So as you have a gun for many, many years, it gets its invariable little scratches and dings on it. You can touch it up yourself
as long as it's the actual oil finish.
A beautiful, perfect job if you're using true boiled linseed oil on a true boiled linseed oil stock.
Yeah, that was the problem I was experiencing with the factory stock. It had a sprayed on clear coat and it was starting to chip off. It's kind of a brittle clear coat and it would just flake off with use. You'd get a scratch on there and there's no way you could really repair it without completely stripping the whole thing down and reapplying a clear coat. So when I brought it to you, you suggested that we would actually redo the checkering, and we ended up extending the checkering pattern from, it was just stamped in the sides originally and it was compressed in. So what Kurt had to do here is he had to completely sand down below the compressed wood, and that was kind of a chore, wasn't it?
It was. You dig up a lot of wood. And even when you do that, if you're going to ever do that, to recheck over stamped in checkering, you want to try, if at all possible, to stay on the original line that was stamped in. Because those inverted points going into the wood, again, compresses the wood. If the new lines you cut are beside that, once you get to that compressed wood, it's going to flake out because those wood fibers are crushed. So if you cut right into the groove, you're okay. If you happen to go outside and what was the groove now was trying to become a point of checkering, that's going to just crumble away.
So there is some skill needed to actually accomplish. It's actually more difficult to redo factory stock that's been compressed stamped, and it's a lot more work than just buying a new stock sometimes.
It's more work and it takes a lot more care and a few things that you need to really watch out for, like I said.
Yep, so not only are you dealing with the structure of the wood, you're dealing with how it's been crushed, and you gotta uncrush it or deal with it.
Yeah.
So it's
another thing with most of the spray-on finishes, like I said, they're fast to apply and fast dry, and you can get out there and have it. But like I said, they just do not stand up. A rancher gave me a rifle that he had hanging in the back of a pickup by the back window for years, and it wasn't badly banged up, but this finish was it was foggy. There was like no color to it. It was almost blondish,
faded,
very just faded from the sun, and it was that hard finish that actually kind of crystallized from being in the heat and the sun all the time. And I simply refinished it. I stripped it off and refinished it, and we were both amazed. He didn't believe it was the same gun. It was a beautiful, rich red, black, kind of reddish black walnut color to it, and showed lovely figure in the wood. I mean, the other one, it could have been a 2x4 underneath there. It just was nothing there. So, like I say, the only way to go in my book is to boil linseed oil. It takes the patience of letting it dry thoroughly between coats, and it's so important. The coat has to be extremely thinly applied, rubbed in by hand to where you almost rub it completely off, and then let it sit.
Okay.
As long as it takes, it's probably 10 days or sometimes even more, depending on climatic conditions and all that.
And one of the major nice things about the linseed oil is, as I scuff this up in the future, you can come back and actually touch it up. You just get some on your finger and you rub it in.
That's right.
And if you need a little more, you can keep rubbing it in. Not something you can do with the sprayed on clear coat. So that's how Kurt's going to show you how to do it the right way, the way it's been done for a long time, up until the mass production days where they started spraying on the clear coats. So we're going to walk you through how to actually apply the real checkering. We're going to refurbish this. And this stock was beat pretty bad. It was it originally had huge dings, scratches in it. There was pieces of wood missing, and you can't really tell from the pictures I'm showing you here that this thing had been beat that bad. And there's actually wood that was gone and had been patched in. But if you have patience and you do all these steps that we're going to show you, you can get this thing restored to better than new condition.
That's right. One more story on the finish of linseed oil. I had a guy who hunted all over the world, and he had his favorite rifle. He'd been to Alaska several times, but from simply carrying it right where the hands are, the finish, he didn't abuse the gun. It was not scratched up much at all, but the finish was just completely worn down to the wood. And I basically just did a couple of coats of linseed oil, and it was like a new stock. It was unbelievable. Because it was originally a linseed oil finish in the
and
first
it
place.
fully protects the wood.
Right, it soaks in and it gets hard. It's a natural finish. It withstands tropic heat, freezing temperatures.
And you can also do varying degrees of gloss.
Right, yeah, you can get up to a really high gloss with enough coats, or leave it at a matte finish.
Fantastic. So in the next video, we're going to get into some examples. Let's do some wood discussion and what kind of wood a guy should use and how the different woods are to work with.